We were taught so much stuff about the word, but not principle in life, the balance, checks and balances of life. If I stand on the word, it's one of the most powerful or the most powerful thing that we have. But the principle behind it is demonstration. It's walking out the process.
Right.
You're not going to become a millionaire because you danced 10 times and ran around the church. The word saying in Deuteronomy, it's God's desire. He loved us enough that he says, I gave you the power to get wealth.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to create the podcast. You got to put in the work. You got to keep grinding until the podcast becomes a multi-billion-dollar industry. So no, I ain't going to give you the Bible verse. I'm giving you principle.
I tell you lies and it's just so toxic. You lie, I lie too. Girl, I don't love you. You know it's lies when I say it's just you. But don't be mad, boo. I once believed too.
First, let me make this clear. It's DNS Soldier.
This is Robby Too Fast, and thank you for tuning into the Two Sides of the Heart podcast. Today, we have a very special guest.
Mm-hmm.
He hails from Georgetown, Washington, D.C. Currently, he works in Salisbury, Maryland as a consultant construction project manager for J&R Property, LLC. He's a high school graduate and is educated in construction management. He's a parent, father of 5, 1 girl, 4 boys. He is also the oldest of 4, having 3 sisters. He's a part of the caucus of African American leaders in support of the NAACP. He is married to the lovely Valerie Sutton Fooks. His accomplishments include being a servant of Yahweh, a successful business owner for 30 years, and their business is continuing to grow and expand. Please welcome Apostle Robby Fooks Jr. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for coming on. How was the drive?
It was long, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't too bad. Yeah.
That's good. Well, we're going to go and get started then.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so who is Rob Fooks?
Who is Rob Fooks? Wow, that's a good question. Honestly, it took me a long time to realize that who Rob Fooks is myself. I used to think that Rob Fooks was what my father expected me to be and my upbringing. I used to think that me being the oldest child, the only son, who Rob Fooks was. But probably over the last 6 years, I've had a major, I've evolved, even at the age I'm at. And I realize who I am. Not even dealing with it from a spiritual aspect, but just from being just a natural man, a family man. I'm not that because it's what I saw in front of me, but it's because I love my family. I love my children, a father, a good man. I know that for a fact. But who I really am is just my purpose. And I believe not just from a spiritual aspect, but from a natural aspect that I'm born to be a game changer. And so in that regard, I had to, sometimes growing up, you try to be like father, uncles, parents, or whoever you see as a role model, but I had to become the role model and really understand what becoming a role model is. And so beating my own path, establishing my own footprint is who I became. And in that regard, run a successful business and it's still growing. It's taken me a long time to realize that I am an entrepreneur by heart. You have to be an entrepreneur in order to, go through challenges and continue and not quit. But, I'm just a simple guy that has strong purpose on his life, and it's not based on what anybody else thinks or what anybody else has patterned me to be. It's based on who I have developed to become, because I know who I am now. So, yeah.
So what's happened over the last 6 years to kind of help you understand or form you into who you are as Rob Fooks?
Man, a lot of things. One is because expectations and hopes have changed. When you evolve, your expectations and your hopes should be based on who you want to become. not who you've been fashioned to be. You know, so I had a lot of pitfalls prior to maybe 6 years ago. I had a lot of life was life in it, you know, real, for real. And it was like, I don't know, I kind of, I guess indirectly gave up a few times, but in the midst of that, I fell in a pit, you know, and in that pit, I started to, I don't know if like a caterpillar and a butterfly scenario, I started to break out of the cocoon, you know, and actually affliction and pain did that, you know, self-infliction too, to be honest. Yeah. You know.
What's one expectation that was put on you that you kind of moved away from, or that you helped realize that wasn't something you had to live up to be who you are?
Man, I don't even want to say this in a negative way, but church. I mean, I think the form of religion and the tradition of religion versus being purposeful because I am a person of purpose, it made me, because I was raised on a lot of rules and regulations and being raised in a very strict environment, and it made me more rebellious than it did conducive to be, you know, a better man or to develop to be a man. So I guess that's a good answer. I mean, that's the answer, but it is, my answer was church. Like realizing that a lot of things I was taught was not necessarily the gospel.
Yeah, I think that's something that we talk about all the time now is we run scenarios with each other on like how we're going to be with our kids and like how are we, you know, are we going to force them to do certain things or kind of be a little bit more relaxed, you know, because, you know, something that we talked about is like, I was like, I think I will make my kids go to church, but at the same time, there needs to be an understanding that your relationship is what's going to get you into heaven. Like that it's not going to be on my relationship,
right?
My expectations of you or whatever you think. Like you got to have your own individual relationship. And so, you know, I think that just speaking to what you were saying, that's something that is very important, especially in the leadership role that you're in, to understand that, like, you know, everybody has these expectations, especially the church, especially what, you know, religion says that you're supposed to do. You can't wear this or you can't do this. You can't look like this. You can't speak like this. But you got to have that relationship with God, like, you know, whatever convictions come onto your heart or what you know, what he wants you to understand is how you'll be able to move into who you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. I think that balance, you know, growing and developing. So as I evolved, I probably evolved in a balance, and I stopped going to church for a while. You know, I broke away. I think my disobedience to that broke me, though, because I told God I was never going to preach or teach or prophesy or minister again. And not to make this about a church segment, but whenever you're called to do anything in business and family first, but business or any type of, you know, as a caucus leader or caucus member, you know, any change or anything you're fighting for, it has to have a basis of purpose. And that purpose has to have balance, you know, and that means you have to have it from, I can't just be on one level of life. I got to be on multiple levels. And that's what true evolution is about. It's about ascending to experience the diversity of life itself, you know.
If love is real, why doesn't it always last?
Man, if love is real, why don't it last? That's good. If love is real. I think there's a major difference. When you're talking about balance, love is different. The aspect of brothers, siblings, parents, family, okay? Because the dynamics of that is shaped in the culture that's developed or the environment that you was raised in. A lot of people don't know what love is, being raised in families where it's broken. But I was raised in a family that was complete. But patterns were developed, habitual patterns. Even though I was in a complete family, I adopted generational curses and patterns that and proclivities that were in the bloodline. So just dealing from that aspect. So let me deal with it, from a relational standpoint. I had to learn the origin of what I felt. So love don't always last, but what is it based on?
Mm-hmm.
If it's based on false pretense, then it has no validity.
Good.
Go ahead.
Nah, I was just listening. Like I agree with what you're saying, to be honest. But honestly, I don't always think love is supposed to last. Sometimes I feel like love serves a purpose. Like sometimes people are just stepping stones. Sometimes you needed that love to be healed to where you are, and you no longer need that anymore. Or however it's being delivered, you don't need that how they're giving it anymore. So I feel like that's why it don't last, to be honest.
That's good too. Yeah, that's good because I can. So let me say this: relationship wise, I never thought I could be a relationship guru, but I've been through the worst of the worst of the best of relationships, right? So I had a person in my life at the time that was a friend, should have remained a friend, not any lines crossing, however that goes. But I was in a very dark place in my life. Mm-hmm. And that person was a good friend, okay? And sometimes friendship does not evolve into anything else. Yeah. But if you force it to evolve in a space that it should not be occupied, then it becomes troublesome. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree. It don't last, right? Because again, the basis of it, what it was built on false pretense. Mm-hmm. It should have been built on the basis that it was established. Mm-hmm. And when we take love outside of its establishment, then now it becomes unworthy to be, maintained, because there's no maintenance to it. Mm-hmm. Nothing can maintain it. I could say, like, my son, we may fall out, but that's my dude. We have real love because of the basis that it was built on. Mm-hmm. But back to the friendship, I was going through a dark space in my life, and I ended up marrying somebody that I should have just remained a friend, because I wasn't in love with that person. Mm. And so I'm trying to build something on a false pretense because of my loyalty to what they were to me in a space. Yeah. I crossed the line. So yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Like, I agree that it's not temporary in a fashion like, hey, I don't need you no more. I have nothing to do with you. But it has an appreciation for what you were or what you had been. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you were supposed to be there for the long haul.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think something personal for me is a lot of I mess with people I shouldn't have, trying to chase being loved, or I feel like I was very insecure until I was 21. And so a lot of the women that I messed with in that time was just me trying to find myself in them. And that was, led to a lot of toxicity, a lot of chaos, and it's like, that shouldn't have been, first of all, I shouldn't have started anyway. So that don't need to last anyway. And then sometimes I find myself like, why is this not lasting? But another pastor I had, he was like, do you not see the chaos in all of this? Do you not see all these things that are coming from this? So why would you want to hold on to that? Mm-hmm. And I think because, like I said, I was looking for myself in them, not really understanding, like, I shouldn't have been messing with them in the first place.
Yeah, and also with that, that's real good, because that's back to what we were talking about in the beginning. What's in the bloodline? Like, what's there that we got to learn to denounce that'll make us whole within ourselves? Mm-hmm. We adopt other people's stuff. Mm-hmm. And it becomes toxic, right? Yeah. But it's not until we see patterns that become habitual, like, we were just talking about, from the female aspect. I think a lot of times, and I taught this one time, like, it takes a long time for men to mature, like figure out who they really are. You know, women have a tendency to mature quicker than men. But, you know, even from an aspect of bills and credit and whatever else, and raising, and they end up having a child, and they end up doing sometimes a phenomenal job with or without the extra income of a male. But men, it takes some time. And that's, I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. Honestly, I'm still figuring that out. I think that we are, I don't know, even in our nature, to love women, that's our nature. Yeah. But in the same regard, we should have standards that love ourselves first. Mm-hmm. That prevents us from making the mistakes, like having kids out of wedlock, you know, or so much out of wedlock, but just having a child prematurely. Yeah. You don't even know the long haul, the person that you have, you know, like I've been there, done that, but it's like, man, you know, but I agree. I think that's huge. But I think too, there's I don't know, it's probably a level of maturity, and back to the basis of generational stuff. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes people pass their stuff on us. Yeah. We don't even know it's been passed down. We function in a space that, you know, we had to figure out it's not a good space. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How have you kept your business afloat for 30 years?
Wow, man, it's been tough. I just was teaching a class the weekend past on financial stewardship and what it looks like. I don't know, man. I learned I was very skilled. Mm-hmm. And skill can get you money, mm-hmm. but skill can't keep you money. Mm-hmm. Like some young men, and we know, especially in our African-American community, can get in the street and hustle. Yeah. And they're skilled of mathematics and get them money, but they don't know what to do with it. It won't keep them. Mm-hmm. It can't, you know, Jordan's is not an asset. It's a liability. Right. So I think for me, over 30 years, I had to grow and understand I am very gifted to be able to do what I do. I'm a person that tries to master and perfect what I do. So I'm a perfectionist. However, the evolving in a space of understanding the difference between a liability and an asset has taken me time. So I've had the ups and downs of business where I didn't make good business choices. That kept me sustained for a long haul, which now I'm outgrowing that space. Yeah. You know, I'm outgrowing that space now. But that's a good question, but it's a tough question. It ain't nothing I've done, because I messed up, bumped my head many times, been dirt ball broke, been, you know. But the thing about being in business, let me say this, for anybody that will watch this broadcast, the thing about being in business is entrepreneurship is inside of you. If you're an entrepreneur, you're born to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. So I don't care how many times you make money, you lose money, or I don't care how many times you succeed or you fail, and then you end up starting over again. Yeah. Or you start another business, or you start something else. It's because entrepreneurship is in you. If you're born an entrepreneur, it's in your blood. Yeah. You know, and you're gonna succeed, but you only succeed after you figure out the purpose of why you are an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm.
So going back to something you talked about, liabilities. When you speak on liabilities, are you speaking on maybe sometime purchases or people?
Both. Yeah. If people can't help you grow, that's another issue. Mm-hmm. If people, let's deal with it from a frequency. I love the word frequency because I don't just deal with. I know y'all in church. Y'all was raised in church, but I know that we deal with the Holy Ghost, but the Holy Ghost helps us tap into the frequency, okay, which causes us to operate in a higher level of who we are versus a lower level. If I'm on the street and I'm hanging around people that operate from a lower level and they smoking, and I'm like, hey man, come on, smoke with me. And then I'm like, you know, nah, I'm good, man. And then I end up smoking, and now I've come down to their level. So now I'm different. I'm operating in a different frequency. So now the frequency that I should be operating in is here because I'm born to be a leader. I'm born to be an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I think choices, the choices that we make and how we view ourselves, is a big thing, So it's a big thing. I think how we view ourselves and what frequency we choose to operate. If life be life, and then you be like, man, I ain't never gonna get on top. I ain't never gonna, that's how you gonna be. Because you operating from a lower frequency. Mm-hmm. You be like, for every problem, there's a solution. Mm-hmm. If you can get in a quiet place and think and cut out the chaos. So to answer your question, people, yes. Mm-hmm. Because people, when they see you successful or becoming, matter of fact, let me do it like this. People can see who you are before you can. Mm-hmm. People can see you're headed somewhere. And people want to be on a train that's headed somewhere. Yeah. They don't necessarily want to pay the fuel or the toll. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I guess the question I would ask now is, how do you go from a glass half empty to a glass half full mentality?
Man, yeah, that's powerful. The glass half full to... I think it doesn't matter what age you are or where you are in life. Mm-hmm. I'm 55 now. And a lot of the glass half full moments have been surreal. Yeah. But the glass is filling up now. And so I'm goal setting. Mm-hmm. So how do you get there? Question. Try to make choices that always fill the glass. Try not to make choices that has a drill bit involved. Mm. That every time you fill the glass, something's underneath the bottom, drilling a hole in it, and you can't see because it's so fine that what you put in the glass is dripping out. Mm. You want to get in a position in your life where the glass is being filled, but it's starting to run over the top. Because when it runs over the top, ain't nowhere for it to go, but just keep spilling. Mm-hmm. So how do you get there? Staying focused. Yeah. Staying focused. Like, I think 6 years ago when I talked about it, I got tired of losing. Like, I thought about it, how many times I started and stopped in my life. And some was based on people. Mm-hmm. But, when you let people stop you, and it's not just so much as people, let me clarify it, because thinking you need a certain type of people in your life is a huge thing. I would not let go. I wouldn't let go of certain spaces because, to be honest, when I learned about myself, it made me feel needed. Mm-hmm. So, but feeling needed sometimes is draining.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's not reciprocated. So if your glass is half full and there's nobody in your life that can reciprocate, then you're going to always be the one. You're going to always be the one. And that need makes, until you realize it, it's a liability, not an asset. That need makes you feel, for a while, hey man, you're the man. Or if that's what you want to think. Or you're the woman, whatever you want to think. It makes you feel like, wow, But who comes for you? Who comes to your rescue? So changing the narrative for me, that's just talking personally. I changed the narrative. I started being around people that were way more successful than me and not being intimidated by their level of success because it made my glass come up. Because now I want my glass full too.
What made you think that your previous marriages, your previous wives were the one, and how do you know that your current wife is the one?
I've been asked this question recently. They said, what makes my wife now different than my previous wives? I couldn't even answer the question, but one way. I never asked God who I was supposed to marry. I was led by my flesh. I love women. I mean, yeah, so, but here's the thing. That was my previous thought process.
Right.
So I was asked the question, why my wife? And when I was young, I wasn't ready to get married. So again, remember I talked about earlier, dealing with generational curses and denouncing things. Well, two of my uncles have been married multiple times. My father was only married once, and I never heard anything in the streets at all about my father being outside of with my mother and when he decided to get married, you know, have a family. I don't know what his previous life was when he was young, teenager, you know. We all got whatever, wild hairs. I don't know, but I know he was always the same. That he was my example. But my uncles were cut from a cloth that really we all had. And that came from my two grandfathers on both sides. So I started growing in that space of understanding. It was a lot of things, choices that I made. Nobody twisted my arm to have an affair. Nobody twisted my arm to, you know, step outside of a marriage, or nobody twisted my arm to get to the altar and get married. You know, nobody twisted my arm to do that. It was a pattern. So what I did was, at the age of 18 and a half, I had my first child. And my father came to me and he said, I told him, you know, my daughter, Kiara's on the way. When I found it out, at that particular time, my ex-wife, we are still really best of friends right now. Just have a great family dynamics. And it's weird to some people, but it's what it is. You know, we were both young. She had aspirations to go to college. I had aspirations to go in the Marine Corps. I literally PT'd to go in the Marine Corps. I was really involved in martial arts at the time. I kept myself physically fit. I was involved in sports and all different things. I never saw myself being married. I saw myself going in the military. What changed my mind was, you know, my daughter was conceived. It changed things because my father said to me, son, that girl loves you, do right by that girl, right? And I'm saying, I don't want to be married. I don't want to get married. Because I respected my father and the code that we was raised in, it started a pattern in my life. Because I always felt like, if I don't get married, I'm going to be in sin. I'm going to get some. I'm a man. I'm definitely going to get some. But if people had taught me, and I'm saying this might go against a lot of church theology. If someone had said to me, it's natural for a man to be attracted to a woman. And what happens in the midst of that attraction, sometimes we have to face it as life and reality. It's a natural attraction, right? But for me, I looked at it as, if I keep doing this, then I'm going to go to hell. I'm in sin. And I'm like, and it led me down a path to make a decision that wasn't based on my heart. It was based on somebody's coaching. So the habitual habit, I had to really study this, a proclivity. I had to study this about myself. The habit of feeling like, and I felt this way too, especially when I got into ministry, I can't preach behind God's sacred desk and be sleeping around. I gotta be married. There's another pattern. A lot of times we're trapped in patterns. So Did I have some good wives? Absolutely. But I wasn't good. Because I'm still stuck in my 18-year and a half mind. I don't want to be married. Because I'm not ready for marriage. It's not that I wasn't marriage material. It wasn't that I was not family man material. But I didn't feel like I was ready for marriage. So it took a minute for me to realize that, and I went to prison, honestly. When I went to prison, I realized that, I'm jacked up and I got to do something different, and I came home and I still end up, getting married because to the public eye, and that's something that I used to worry about so much. And I didn't even realize that outside of what I was doing, the public was already still ostracizing me. So why am I worried about the public and not worrying about my own self? Why am I not finding myself in the process? So I finally said, okay, God, when I met my wife, I said, I didn't know her from Adam, but I said, I need a life partner. I need somebody that understands me, who I am, and what my purpose is, and it don't have to be based on no false pretense. I don't want it to be based on false pretense, I said, when I went through my last divorce, I said I was never getting married again. I said that. I'm never getting married again. I've been married enough times. I'm like, it just don't work for me. I'm never getting married. But I took like a year and a half to myself. And I just took time to find who I was. So I was traveling. I was doing things that I missed in my 19-year-old. Because I instantly became a dad. I instantly became a provider. I instantly became everything to everybody. And it was a habit. Even in marriage, I end up taking care of other people's children. I end up being a dad to children that their father wasn't even a father to them. It's because it was a pattern that I knew. I fit in that pattern. You know what I mean? So for me, I had to break that.
Yeah.
I had to break it. So I sat in front of a psychologist. I went to therapy. And I talked about everything that I ever felt since I was a teenager. That I felt was pressure versus my own desire, my own will, my own decision. Yeah. That's what I had. So, I don't know. I think that I had, after therapy, I started facing my demons. I started facing, when I say that, we don't talk about this like we should, but I started facing things that were habitual. And I started addressing these things. So, I hope I answered your question. I went a long way, man.
I think a lot of people do that. The two things you said. One is kind of really take a second to look at yourself and the patterns in your family. And then also, we were just talking about this in the episode we had last night, is like, I was like, once I get married, I don't want to get divorced. Like, how you going to stop that? Well, first of all, like the first thing you said, I need to ask God, hey, look, is she for me? And she also needs to be like, hey, look, God, is he for me? And then we need to lay down that foundation that God, our relationship with God is the foundation, and then we go from there. Because then he's like, so what if she bring the papers? Hey, look, you got to go talk to him. If he say it's cool, then I'm cool. But if he don't say it's cool, then we're not. Because we laid before him like, look, this is us. And he said you for me. So I'm not ready to listen to you about what you want right now. If he said it's you for me, point blank, period. So that's the first thing. And then from then on, really understanding why am I here? What are we doing here in this moment? Is it just because I want some? Or am I really looking for somebody that, like you said, that understands me? Do I understand you? What are we trying to build going forward? Things of that nature.
I think most preachers, I'm going to say it because I'm a preacher, I think most preachers are not, or people in church, like, let me say that, are not honest. You're getting some anyway. I mean, you getting some, and where did this come from that you need to, and then we got to fast and pray, and you meet somebody who you've never lived with, you never really spent no intense time with. You don't know their habits. You don't know their good and their bad. And you get married because God said, but you should know from a balance. you know. And my wife and I both, and when I met her, I didn't know her from a can of paint, but when I did meet her, I was checking her out, to be honest. See if she gonna pass the test. Because a lot of things I had already been through, was the signs that I'm paying attention to. And I said a lot of things, in that moment, but, in that sentence. But the truth be told, let's just be honest. A lot of times, you can't base your decision because you want to save yourself. You should, but you can't base the decision on if you fall into that temptation. You got to ask God to forgive you, but that don't mean you got to rush to the altar, because that's the first thing. That's like the first pattern. They want you to, anybody know that or trying to kind of be involved in your personal space. And that's another thing. I feel like unless you invite your leader or mentor or anybody in your personal space, they don't belong in that. They don't belong in your personal space unless you invite them in there for advice or whatever, because I feel like everything else will fall into place and take care of itself. Maybe I'm just the one that's unorthodox in that, but I believe.
No, I believe that too. I also agree with what you were saying about how, knowing, is that your actual desire, or is that, what you're being forced to believe that that's what you want? I feel like if a lot of people took the time to figure that out and just had the ability to stand up for what they actually wanted, it'd be a lot more relationships that actually worked, more smooth or things like that, because how can you fully be at one with a person when you're in denial with your own self? So I completely understand that. Yeah.
And I wasn't even ready to be married. I knew I was not ready. I was not ready to settle down. I wasn't sure if this is the person I want to be with or if there's some other option, and that's the truth. You gotta really, it's crazy, but that movie Coming to America, I got to sow my royal oats. I gotta get the wild hair. It's the truth. It is really the truth. And it does not necessarily just mean in relationship, but that means in every thing you explore, business, career, whatever. You don't know if this is what you want to do until you figure it out.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah. And I think that's okay. I definitely do think that a lot of times in the church is especially when I was younger, they definitely taught you just got to get married before. Really, all they said was you got to get married before you have sex. And it's like you're saying, that's it. There's not anything else. But my dad and my mom, they kind of taught me travel, have a couple jobs, do a couple things, really take the time to experience life, so that when you come, to the decision that you want to be married and have kids, you're this is really what I want to do. And then on top of that, something we didn't speak on is having resentment maybe towards your wife, towards your kids. Have resentment towards all these things because you didn't get to do things, that you maybe wanted to experience.
That's right.
So,
yeah, I'm telling you, man, my oldest son, I'm proud of him, man. I'm proud of you. I haven't seen you in a long time. But, I talked to your mom in a couple of our caucus meetings and some things that, I asked about you. But I tell you, man, my oldest son, I was like, dude, when y'all gonna have me some grandchildren? He's like, Dad. He was dating his wife for a few years, and not even get into that. But the point is, even when they did get married, decided to get married, I was like, when y'all gonna have a grandchild? He's like, Dad, we want to be stable. We want to be, we want to be financially stable. We want to be in a position. I was like, wow, he really took and broke the pattern, the generational pattern, because he took the time to, no matter what nobody said, to figure out what he wanted. Yeah. And wait even to get to the end to say, this is not it. Because he had a girlfriend that everybody liked, but they broke up. Yeah. And he realized this is not it. Yeah. And that's fair to yourself. Yeah. That's being fair to you, to not get down the road later and regret a decision you made. My wife and I now, we're best friends. we're partners. We're life partners. So we laugh. We don't just, a lot of times we don't It ain't got nothing to do with sexual. It's just, hey, what's up? You know, how was your day? And it was just the fact that we're there for each other in every aspect. Like, she want the same thing I want in life, to build a life. You know, I've been building, but with the wrong persons, you know. And in that regard, we both came up in church. Her mother's a bishop, but she's always talked about her life and they having a balance. So she's always been different, in other words. But it's like, and then so it's just kind of hard to explain. But I made a decision this time. I made the decision because I asked God, and I did a checklist with that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't go down this road, but I don't want to be this guy either. Because I'm like, I'm not gonna stand behind God's sacred desk. You know, that's why a lot of times I've taken the break. Because I just respect God's sacred desk too much. So I'm not gonna be this guy. I ain't gonna preach in the pulpit and be a whore. But this, you know, I'm just keep it on 100.
Yeah.
But I do want to do what's right. But I gotta realize you can't keep starting and stopping neither. You gotta, you know, you have what you need to be successful and consistent. You just gotta make better choices.
Right.
You know, and that's not in just marriage, but that's in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has being a father made you more emotionally vulnerable?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So my daughter, when she was born like kind of pre-me. Her esophagus was not fully developed, and she would stop breathing, and her heart would stop. So she wore a monitor, and I don't know, she was the first. So when she came home, we put her in we had this machine on her to let us know when she would stop breathing or if her heart skipped a beat or something like that. And the doctor told us she would grow out of it. Her esophagus would close, and that's where the airway, would distract her, whatever. I don't know, but it was an issue. And I said, I'm not going to let my child sleep in this crib or bassinet beside the bed, and I not know if that moment happens. So she slept on my chest every night. So, you know. I've already been, I'm a family-oriented person. But that, and that just messed me up because I'm big with the family, I'm big with the kids, I'm big with my nieces, and all. And even at church, I got the kids call me Pastor Papa. It's just like, I just love, so has it? Absolutely. It has made me, and I think that happened from my daughter, because I wanted to just make sure she was good, and she grew out of it, of course, but just that, extra bond there kind of made me more sensitive. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
most definitely.
Have you ever had any of those moments with your sons?
Yeah, a little bit different. Speaking of that, my oldest son, Rob, we are a lot alike. And, marriage and divorce gave a little gap there. So he kind of, we have a great relationship, but he had a stepdad that was a little bit different, and I think with him, we had it was like, I miss my dad, I need my dad. But I had them most of the time, but it was when they moved away. So yeah, but then I had a son that his mother and I, when we split, he moved to DC, and we didn't get his infancy stage was the best time we've had, but then there was a 7-year space. The thing I love about him and my oldest son is they never changed. The love dynamics or the sensitivity of it never changed.
Yeah.
But my other son, there was a little gap, and it was a little strange. It was like I gotta earn it. Like I gotta, or he felt like it was a strange relationship based on the dynamics. And then the baby boy, he was really the child that probably got the most of my attention because he was in the same household the longest. Yeah. So boys are a little different. Girls are bratty. Boys are a little different, but yeah. I'd say so. In fact, let me say it like this. When I greet my boys and hug my boys, I kiss them on the cheek. Mm-hmm. It's just a natural bond we have.
Yeah.
No matter what, that's just the bond we got.
Yeah. I think I can kind of relate to that because my dad, he has a younger son, my little brother, and he's probably spent the most time with him. And I say this all the time. He hates when I say it. I'm like, I'm Robert III, but that's your junior. Like, that is you. Like, man, don't say. I'm like, nah, man. Like that, they have the same mannerisms, but it's because he's had that time to be able to really, like, that he wish he would have gave us other four. But it is what it is. But that time to be able to, and I see it in him. I'm like, man, you soft. Like he be running all over you. Yeah, but I mean. It's not that's not necessarily a bad thing though, because at least you're like all he knows is you being here, mm-hmm. And so that's very pivotal to have both parents there.
Yeah, I know. How'd that make you feel?
I don't. That's a good question. I don't think it made me feel any type of way. I think I'm glad. I think the big brother in me is like, man, look, you gonna mess him up. Like, well, not mess him up, but just like he needs to understand that. But at the same time, I'm glad that he has both parents because, episode we did before, like there's a statistic where like having both parents in the house is very pivotal to the growth of a child. And so I'm just glad that he's able to be there for him, mm-hmm. and that I'm even here to be able, we both live in Baltimore, even there to be there for him too, to kind of be like, hey, look, like. You get a little bit too soft, or like, hey, like my little brother be like, talking, and he'll be like, man, why? And I'm like, look, like, I'm going through the same stuff you're going through. Like, my dad wanted him to go to a certain school, and I'm like, the same thing happened to me when I was in 9th grade, and I rebelled.
Right.
Had a terrible GPA, like a 1.5. And they're not because I'm dumb. I just really didn't want to go there, but I'm like, yo, don't be like that.
Yeah.
Don't be like me and mess yourself up.
Right.
So that now you got to work double time, 10th, 11th, 12th grade to get these better grades, but. Because you don't want to go to the school,
right?
So, but I think I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's able to have that, and I'm happy for my dad too that he's able to give one of his children the love and the time and attention that he wanted to give us the whole time.
Yeah, trust me, man. It's a tough spot for pops to be in because you really want to. Sometimes it's the dynamic of the animosity between the mother and the father, mm-hmm. and that's sad. Like I really talk about this too. If parents would be parents and not involve their children and grown people's stuff and protect the kids more, it would be a lot better situation, like co-parenting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough because like for me, I would drive wherever I needed to drive to get my kids just for the weekend.
Yeah.
Or just have them for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I worked a lot, but I would have a nanny just so they'd be there and get to be fed and all, But my point is, I get it because, it made me feel some type of way, Hey, like my one son, like I said, he was a little distant, mm-hmm. but I'm showing you the same love, but you feel like you're not getting the same love that everybody else is getting.
Yeah.
And it puts you in an uncompromising situation because you got to feel like, why do I have to feel like back to the love scenario? Why do I have to feel like I got to prove to you that I love you the same as I love the rest of your siblings?
Mm-hmm.
See, I can speak on that.
Okay.
And the reason I can speak on that is a lot of times it's hard for people to step outside of their own world, right? So what I mean by that is we're human and we grow as we get older. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like, they don't keep that in mind. They think about how you used to be or whatever, and they don't understand that you grow as a person and you evolve, and the way that you show love also changes. So they could be like, well, you used to do this and this, and to them that signifies a certain amount of love. And now the other sibling is getting a different thing, so to them it signifies that you love them differently, or it's the amount is different, but it's not. It's just hard to step out and see, like, that's how you show love now. You know what I mean? And it may suck that I didn't get that type of effort for you to show it, but that don't mean that you didn't love me the same either. It's just hard for people to, like, step away. Like, I had to understand that my mom is just another person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Like for the longest, it was mom is mom, and that's just how you thought about it. But when I thought about it as, okay, my mom is just another person, it was easier for me to see the things like the things that she did. It was easier for it to not feel personal. You know what I mean? Because I was just thinking of her as my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think of her as another person and like another human being, it doesn't feel like, oh, you know, okay, you don't yell at me or you don't yell at her as much as you yell at me. It's not a personal attack. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's how it be, or that's why sometimes you have to feel like you prove, or you have to prove that you love, but it's like you just gotta show them or let them know that, you know, it's not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I did, you know, I don't want to stay on that part, but I did get it because I felt that way as a father. And because I was in business, I was always providing, and it felt like I can get what I want. And it's like, at some point I had to be like, you got to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. I can't buy the missing space, you know, that we had. I can't keep trying to, you know, show you. Yeah.
I think something else too that I had to learn is that having understanding. Some things you're just not gonna understand until you're in that position. But something, cause I used to be mad at my dad for so long until I really like something I used to be mad at him for is that like I wanted him to come to my last football game because I know I was gonna turn up. So I can use your ear to see this, and I was just so mad. I'm like, why couldn't you come? But now I get it. Like, well, first of all, it's hard to take care. It's hard for me to take care of myself as an adult. Put 4 other people on that. And then on top of that, you know, understanding his situation, where he went through, like, now you're adding on another thing. And then he lived 2 hours away, so now you're adding on another thing. Does he even have a car? How you even gonna get down here to come see the game? And then the thing that really helped me understand was like, when I was an adult, like my sister was like, I wasn't living at home no more. My sister was like, oh, are you gonna come stay tonight? And I was like, yeah. And I didn't. And then to just see the disappointment, like in her face, I was like, dang. I'm her, and then my dad was me. Oh, I get it now. And I understood why I couldn't make it. But that still, like, doesn't matter to her.
Right.
You said you was going to be there, and you're not.
Right.
So I was like, dang, I get it now.
I tell you what, if I wasn't an entrepreneur, I probably could not. I don't know how any man that has a multi-family dynamic can make it. A lot of times they work 2 or 3 jobs because they're not entrepreneurs. And I was an entrepreneur trying to scale up and make more money to keep everybody happy. And then you still can't keep everybody happy. So, but if I wasn't an entrepreneur, I don't know how I would have done it, because like I was taking care of everything, everybody. And it's like even with the child support issue, I won't get into that. But even in that regard, I tell young men now, man, watch yourself. Because if a woman's bitter or upset or angry, not all, it's a rarity though. First thing they want to do is hit your pocket. And they want to get somebody else involved. So I went through that, and but it was unnecessary, because anything that my children ever wanted or anything they asked for, they could get it. So I told people this. I'm not going to tell my kids I gave your mom a child support. I can't buy you tennis shoes you asked me for. My son asked for $600, that orange phone when it first came out that slid up. I can't even think of Verizon. He asked for that for his birthday, for his 16th birthday. I couldn't tell him, man, your mom got a child support, man. I couldn't tell him that. So I'm coughing up the $600. I'm getting this phone. Because that's what I do. You know, but that still don't. So man, that's tough. It's tough. It don't,
So what's the difference between fathering children and fathering adults?
Ooh. Yeah, children's love is unconditional. The love of your children are unconditional. Well, let me say this. I guess when that dynamic is there, because it's a bloodstream thing. It's a purity there in the bloodline. And I don't care how much you mad or deny, you know, it's something in you that's yearning for that love and attention that's there. It just has, sometimes it ain't developed, or sometimes it is developed, or it's overdeveloped. You But it is what it is. It's just consistency there.
Yeah.
And it's blood. And that's old saying, blood is thicker than water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Now, fathering, from a leadership standpoint, that is really tough. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when there's something called an offense comes, you can do everything in your power to bring resolution to offense. But if the other person is not willing to let go of an offense, it's nothing you can do to help them heal or get through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Because the process of it, and it's both ways, but the process of that is very tough.
Yeah.
It's tough because it's like people can walk away with no strings attached, but your natural family, you can't do that. So, it's tough. Especially if you love people, though. I just naturally love people, but that's tough. It hurts.
I mean, I feel like I agree, but I don't. Because for me, blood ties, it means a lot to me. I'm a very heavy family guy. I don't care if me and my family, we beefing, like somebody else on the outside come in, you feel me, all the beef is stopped until we solve this. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we solve this, I'm back beefing with you. But I also feel like it does come to a point. It's not easy though. Like you can't just walk away. But I do feel like it's, no matter who it is, you can cut ties. I faithfully believe that. No matter who you is, how close you are, what you've done, at the end of the day, if need be, we can cut ties. It's just at the end of the day, and maybe it's a little different for my mom because, she pushed me out into the world. She was there when I was born. But other than that, I was born without you. And unless it's a tragic accident, I'm going to die without you. And when I die, you're going to continue to draw a breath and continue to live. And it might be different and all that, but at the end of the day, your life goes on. So if my life can go on without you there, we can cut ties. That's just how I feel about it.
That's a good point. So I'm going to go back to my therapy sessions. What I learned in therapy is something that I had to discover, and that's setting boundaries. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how, from the church side, family-wise, kids get mad, everybody gets over it, and family's going to be family no matter what, especially when it's a strong dynamic. Yeah. Church-wise or business-wise, and, secular or spiritual world is different because I feel like that sometimes it's time to let go sooner than later because it costs you more, to hold on than it does to let go. Yeah. But for me, that was tough because I always felt like the fixer. Mm-hmm. What can I do to fix this? Yeah. Because I'm big on relationships. I'm big on that type of stuff. Yeah. And, for me, I had to learn to set boundaries because I didn't know how to set boundaries. Mm-hmm. If a person dishonors your space or is not conducive to the path you're going, then you got to set that boundary and cut it off sooner than later. That's that Kenny Rogers song, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. That's real deal. Mm-hmm. Because it can be more detrimental to the path that you have to take. And that was tough for me.
Yeah, that's something I'm learning right now. Still trying to understand is when to. I had an ex-girlfriend and Lord, I don't know why I was with her. I really don't get it. I don't know what was going on. But it took my best friend, and shout out to her. She had to take my phone from me to really look, you don't need to be with her no more. And now that I'm looking back, it's really understanding, in my current relationship, I'm look, you're not gonna talk to me like that. I understand you upset, I understand I made you mad, but this is not how we talking to each other. Mm-hmm. Especially because I'm at the point now where I'm looking towards getting married eventually. So we're not carrying, if we are, we're not carrying this in marriage. Mm-hmm. You got me chopped. I'm paying the bills here. You gonna call me? Not happening. But even on top of that, though, it's just a respect thing. Like we can't talk to each other like that because then we have kids. What's the example for them?
Right.
And then also, even in our relationship, it creates that resentment. You're not gonna forget that B word, that MF, that sits on you.
Yeah.
And you move forward in time, but your heart,
Right.
you know, something that Ajari said, that little girl, that little boy inside you, they still holding on to that.
Yeah.
And so you got to be careful when you speaking those things or dealing with those things, or even allowing people to treat you a certain way. Because you have control over that too. You have a control over who you allow in your space and who you allow to talk to you certain ways. And it's like, if they can't understand that, I think that's the part for me. It's hard for me to let people go. Because like you said, like, especially as men, like the protector, the provider, we try to, hey, look, what's the next situation? I gotta fix this, I gotta fix that. Come on, we gonna make it work, but it's like, at what cost?
Right. Yeah, that's good, because I'm telling you, one last thing I'm gonna say about that is money. People come to me all the time. Can I borrow? Can you help me? I'm in need. I'm in a situation. And I'll be like, don't nobody ever know I'm in a situation. I need. And nobody never thinks of that. And I'm like, I had to learn. And one of my former leaders she was our finances department. We were in a financial literacy class, and she said, how many how many times you go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks? And I said, probably twice a day, right? She's like, if you save the money that you spend in coffee, you probably have $3,000 to $4,000 a year put to the side, right? For Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts every day. I was like, if you cut back. And I said, yeah, you're right. I never thought of that. So it made me think about that. Then it made me think about how much money I've loaned out or given out that I never got back, right? And I thought about it. People come to me with the greatest stories. They come to me and it's like, I'm soft-hearted in areas. Like I love people. I'm very compassionate in areas. If I can help you, I'm gonna do all I can to help you. So she said to me, just because you got it, don't mean you have it to give. I said, well, I don't want to feel like I'm lying. It's like, I'm trying to be upstanding. I don't want to be lying. You're not lying, she said. You might have it, but it don't mean you have it to give. I still struggle with that. I'm telling you. I still struggle with it because I'm like, sometimes in business things get tight. I'm like, just because, but I'm at the age of my life now, I'm trying to change with that because I got to look to my future. I'm getting older. I'm not getting younger, but I'm serious. When I say about that, setting boundaries, and that was tough. So for me, it's like, it's still tough, but it's like, I'm practicing, doing better with that. But
yeah, last thing on that's my favorite thing to say this year. Hey, I don't have to give.
Yeah.
Because I'm not lying. I got it. I don't got to give though.
You got it, but you don't have to give. Yeah, exactly, man. It's tough.
So I swear, man, they know when I get paid. My sisters know. They as soon as I put that check into my account, I get 3 text messages.
You know something broken.
Right, yeah.
How have you had to adjust fathering adults?
Well, again, like I was saying, it's tough because sometimes what I'm learning in that regard is that the same measure, so I'll say this. I didn't say this a while ago. I would say this. My daughter, one of my daughters, adopted her. Her parents, she lost both her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll never forget it. She was going through some stuff and we were, I don't know. And I said, I'm going to be your dad now. And she didn't receive it, But I knew because it was put on me heavy to take the responsibility to be her father. She lost both her parents. I was close to one of her parents, her mother, very close to her mother. And then knowing her since she was a kid, It's tough. That's tough. Yeah. And you still trying to figure life out too. And so she just couldn't get it together, you know. Sometimes pain carries us down paths that we don't recover from right away. You know what I mean? And it's not until life just shake you. Either some people lose their life behind pain.
That's right.
You know, some people lose their life behind pain, but when you start getting a hold of what it is that's got you gripped, and you start realizing, this gotta let go of me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of tough. And so anyway, with that being said, fathering, people, she said, Dad, I'm your daughter, and I hurt you. Times I hurt you, but you kept on loving me. And she said, people are going to be people. They're going to hurt you. And I was like, yeah, I ain't dealing with it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not dealing. She's like, well, I did the same thing. I would leave and come back, leave and come back. But you took me back in. That's a tough space to be in. Because when you are fathering people, they gotta want to be fathered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You coming back for a reason. Because not for any kind of monetary gain or anything like that, but sometimes it's the one place you know that there's real true safety. And that's the tough part on it. For me, that hit home when she said that, because it made me start paying more attention and not being like, no, I'm not dealing with that no more, versus saying, need to look for some fruit now. See if this is going to be profitable in the future, because I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
So I'm real conscious on my time, like wasting my time now. So yeah, it's tough.
How challenging is it to be a leader in every facet of your life? You're the oldest brother, you're a husband, you're a father, you're a business owner, a pastor. Do they intertwine, or do you have to have you learned lessons from each to kind of help in every way?
Yes, I have. So I talk about this now a lot of times, because you're the boss or the head or something. You think people got to automatically respect you or honor you. Honor is gained and it's earned. You got to earn people's respect. You got to earn people's honor. And that's where I'm learning more, because just because I'm the head of anything or does something doesn't mean that people gonna respect me or honor me. That doesn't mean nothing. You know what I mean? It's what you lay down is what people receive, and that's the space, man. So being the oldest was a lot of pressure. Being the only son was a lot of pressure. In my household, I grew up with 3 girls, so my sisters, I've dealt with all of that and stuff, and then trying to be the protector and all that. Yeah, it's tough, and sometimes I felt like I fought for my inheritance or my respect. But it wasn't until I took down a different path that I realized that I gotta earn that. It ain't gonna automatically come.
Which area do you feel like it's hardest to be a leader in?
I feel like it's harder than me in the church work. I love what I do, business. Man, it's second nature. Like now I'm a manager, project manager. I do more consulting management work. I don't physically do the work, so I got a team of people that do the work. So management. And I told somebody one time, I'll never say I'm good at what I do. I'm just blessed because I learned it's a gift that God gave me, right? And I'm trying to grow and perfect in that. So when I say that, to master anything is an everyday process. Mastery is everyday. It's an everyday process. So I feel like my business and I feel like my family. Because the love that I get to my family, it is not forced. It's not something I gotta conjure up. It's automatic. Like I am the automatic protector. I am the automatic provider. I'm the automatic person that is more concerned about the family dynamic than, anything else. I love pastoring. I love people. I love to see people be successful. I love to see people grow. But that love is not always reciprocated. So that's more sometimes of a burden than it is a pleasure. But the other two things I find more pleasure in. If I, hypothetically speaking, was not a pastor, I feel like that my time will be more dedicated to building my business and my family legacy. Because I want to leave my children and my grandchildren in a position that they're better off. And that's important to me. I feel like my community work and my pastoral work, it sometimes takes from that vision. Because it's very costly.
What's something about love nobody prepared you for?
Man. That's tough. Selfishness. I was never a selfish person. I watched my family give and love everybody else. And it was always about somebody else. It was never about yourself. Because we were taught that, you do for others and then God will do for you. I'm learning probably in the last 5 years more than any time of my life to be selfish. I'm still growing in that space. So to love myself. Be selfish. And why I said that is because, I have to do better with that. Because what does my future look like without me? What does my future look like without the ability that God's given me to provide or to get or to have or to grow or to evolve? I'm still trying to perfect that. I probably the last 2 years started working on it more when I started going to therapy, like the last 5 years ago. I started going to therapy. And I recognized that, so loving, selfish, just being selfish. Not, being ignorant, but being more intentional about, am I good? And I fail at that sometimes right now. Because I have to, like yesterday, I took off. Because I've traveled so much lately that I'm still making sure I'll come back, get up 5:30, 6 o'clock, and still be on the job or in the office, making sure everybody's where they need to be and do what they need to do. Think about it like this, and I'm growing. I'm really, really growing in this respect. If I did not show up for some negative reason, what would stop the show? So if I don't start being more intentional, I'm working through some things right now because I'm building. And sometimes building, you got to be more intentional about paying attention to what your vision is. But in the midst of that, I still got to scale back a little bit and be selfish to give me time. Because I get frustrated quick. And I said, I learned a new word maybe 2 years ago, I'm overstimulated. I'm not frustrated to the point where I can't think or function, but I'm overstimulated because my thought processor is thinking for you and for me. And I'm overthinking. And I do that. When I overthink, I overtalk. I'm very talkative. My wife tell you that. I'm like, hey, they don't do this and that. And I'm like, why don't they know this? Because I'm overstimulated. I'm overprocessing. So I have to stop. So I'm being better. I'm being better with being selfish. So love yourself. Nobody taught me that. That law of self. Because think about it. If you're not a multimillionaire, how do you make everything else happen for your family? Or for yourself? And for me, it's about my grandkids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I told my children this. I ain't paying your car payment. I'm not paying your rent. If you need me, I'm here. But as long as you're helping yourself. But it used to not be like that. Dad got it. So being selfish. Take a trip. Put the golf clubs in your hand. And I haven't done it lately. But, you know, it's the truth. Trying to get better at being selfish. In that space of love, loving me more, what I like. It's sad to work, have, and you've never traveled across the country. Mm-hmm. You've never seen nothing outside of your office or a perimeter or space that you go to and from every day.
Yeah.
It's terrible, man.
Yeah. I think that selfishness is very, very important, especially because talk about us as providers. So if I don't take care of myself, I'm gonna take care of you. How, you know, me taking the time to make sure that I'm straight, make sure that everybody else is straight in turn too.
Yeah.
Especially more like, that's something that is very hard for me. Like my mom tells me, like, Rob, you gotta chill. Like you got to like sit down somewhere.
You got it from her. You got it from her.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I think she's telling me that she's learning too. Yeah. Because it's like, because man, I go to work, get off work, go work out, get done working out, shower, podcast stuff, sleep, get up, do the same thing. And it's like, that's productive. But at the same time, like, okay, so what if I crack? Like, I went to the hospital 2 weeks ago. Wow. And like, I'm sitting in the hospital bed trying to do stuff for the podcast. And he's like, yo, what do you need me to do? Like, because you ready going to surgery? Like, if you don't chill out, like, you know, like everything else is going to be all right. Or now I take 1 day out the week now. I take 1 day out the week. I'm watching the Ravens. Don't call me. It's good. I'm watching the Ravens. They look, and that's it. You know, but I have to be really intense. And even then, I would still go work out. But it's like, so I'm still stressing my body. It's like, no, but now Sundays, I take off. I just want to watch the Ravens I watch football all day. I ain't gonna work out today. Yeah. We ain't gonna have no podcast stuff. We'll have a meeting Monday morning at 8 a.m. And then just keep on chugging. And then now that does help me now. I had 6 gray hairs, they're gone now because I'm not stressed out. But now it helps me, you know, when we get to 8 a.m., I can talk to him and I'm cool. Yeah. You know, somebody calls me on Tuesday, but just saying this long-winded way of saying that it is very important, especially for the betterment of everybody that you're trying to, you know, provide for. Yeah. Your mom's a multitasker, multi-dimensional thinker. You got that honest, man. Yeah. When does holding on to someone become self-destructive? It creates some of the most critical lessons. I just recently, when you say divorce, the marriage and divorce in partnership, business, using the word divorce because it was told to me, like, you know, you get married, but it's tough to get divorced. Same difference. Mm-hmm. Somebody that I was close to was indirectly taking advantage of me, or directly, should I say. Mm-hmm. And I saw the signs. I knew it. Like, I knew it. I was like, nah, they won't do that to me. That's my bro. You know, but so I kept saying, man, I gotta let this go. You know, I got to let this go. I'm like, we gotta get past this hump. I gotta let this go. Let me tell you what happens. I know it's God, an act of God. I know it's or life. It will dismantle itself. Mm. When it becomes so toxic that you won't make the choice, it'll make the choice for you. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened, you know. So you won't sometimes let go. But that toxicity, it will self-destruct. It'll keep boiling and boiling until it finally explodes. And when it does so much damage that it creates a severing. Because you wouldn't do it. Probably sooner than later. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just basically went through that, you know, but I learned I didn't just go through that, that's a pattern.
It's another pattern because I'm like, dang, why am I always trying to help somebody, worry about somebody else, worry about yourself? You all frustrated, overstimulated because they didn't do this and do that. Well, you let them.
Is physical attraction a part of love or just desire dressed up?
Man, they get deeper, don't I ain't gonna lie. Physical attraction is a gateway. Okay. If I'm not attracted, you don't have my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's a part of it. Tell me, ask me the other part of that question because I got stuck on the attraction thing.
Is physical attraction a part of love or just desire dressed up?
Okay. I think it is a part of love, but I think also that you got to be very careful of the desire dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being honest with you about that. I think, because I don't care what nobody say, who want to look at, somebody not attractive, physically attractive. I mean, I'm sorry, like, if you walking down the street and you got on your Wheezy Jefferson do-rag on your head, I ain't even paying you no mind.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be vice versa, but I'm talking about from the female aspect. So, but I think presentation is everything. However, sometimes you gotta look past the presentation.
Yeah.
Because there's no substance.
Yeah. I agree on that. A lot of times I tell people that it's very high school minded to just be looking for somebody that's cute. Like, especially at this point, like, okay, so you got Michael B. Jordan, but is he treating you right? You got Beyonce, but she treating you right. And 9 times out of 10, Beyonce, they don't treat you right because they know, they think that they're up here. But then even that brings your value down. So you a 10 in the face, but your attitude sucks, you really a 6. Right. But if you were 7, quote unquote, but she treat me like I'm a king, you really a 10, honestly.
Right.
Yeah. But you gotta be at least 7.
Hey.
Like, at the end of the day, though, you can't, like, you gotta,
Not a 5.5, 6.5, but you got Yeah.
Maybe the Lord will work on me, but I think you got something going on. You just can't be.
Right.
Oh, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What lesson is God still teaching you today?
How to be a better man. He's teaching me value and worth is not based on anyone else's opinion, but his. What he thought about me from the day one, and who I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to do in the earth. So I'm learning how to evolve in spaces. And to be honest, sometimes men have insecurities. For whatever the insecurity is. But insecurities were never meant to be a weight to drag you down. It was meant to be a motivation, a fuel to cause you to become better. Nobody dictates who you are and where your end is, but you. You can be your greatest cheerleader or your worst hindrance. I just told somebody this. Sometime I was supposed to be in a room where a lot more brilliant thinkers or greater opportunities were presented. But then sometimes I didn't think I fit in the room. So I kept my own stuff out of the room. So sometimes people see more value in you than you see in yourself. So becoming a better man, not dummying down my worth, and not so much as totally to a totality that I have, but when I say I'm just like even just saying business or ministry or life, if I put a value on a project it's because the project has the same value across the board. You know, there's a demographics. What does it cost in this demographic versus in this one? You're not going to pay the same thing in Salisbury that you pay in Baltimore for something, or in New York, you know, because demographics, the demand, supply and demand.
Yeah.
So becoming a better man, because I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in demand and I got supply.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So becoming a better man adds more value to myself.
All right, finish the sentence. Love is.
Yeah. Love is a multiplicity of things. Love is selfish at times. Love is, you know, considerate. Love is sacrificial. Sometimes love is denial. Love is honor. It's a lot of things I can say. Love is discovery. It's evolving. It's growing. Yeah, sometimes I don't think love is not as intense as it can be until it evolves itself. Love evolves.
Can I use the Bible verse? Love is patience. Love is
Nah, I don't have that for you. Nah, I don't have that for you. No. I think you know that already. But the thing is, what we don't know. I'm serious. I was just teaching this class this weekend. We were taught so much stuff about the word, but not principle in life. The balance, checks and balances of life. If I stand on the word, it's one of the most powerful, or the most powerful thing that we have. But the principle behind it is demonstration. It's walking out the process.
Word.
You're not going to become a millionaire because you danced 10 times and ran around the church. The word say in Deuteronomy, yeah. You know, it's God's desire. He loves us enough that he says, I gave you the power to get wealth. But you got to create the podcast. You got to put in the work. You got to keep grinding until the podcast becomes a multi-billion-dollar industry. So no, I ain't going to give you the Bible verse. I'm giving you principle.